So the second movie I saw after Mac and Rita was Fall. The, the movie that actually is getting pretty decent reviews this weekend. It's coming out this weekend, and a movie that I kind of have not been looking forward to because I'm a person that is afraid of heights. I don't know what the term is, but not a big fan of heights. And I saw the trailer for this movie, and I went, "Fuck that shit! I'm not watching that fucking piece of shit." I said, "That does not look like a that does not look like a good time for me." I remember watching stuff like a few years ago in that movie The Walk about the guy who tightrope walked the Twin Towers um, in the '70s. They made that movie about him. Robert Zemeckis did with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I remember seeing that in the theaters in fucking 3D and not having a very good time in the last 20 minutes of that movie. Oh god, that was terrifying. That was one of the most terrifying movies I've seen all year. So I was like, man, yeah. Like even just watching the trailers, I'm like, I don't like this idea. Um, I mean, it's like, yeah, it's 47 meters down, stuff like that. A lot of these, you know, survival movies that we've seen a lot lately. I'm like, yeah, it could be good. It could be interesting. And honestly, despite the fact that I was about having a panic attack for the majority of this fucking movie, I actually kind of liked this movie. I did. I actually kind of did. I enjoyed the hell out of it. Even if it was for all the wrong reasons sometimes. Um, I enjoyed the hell out of it. I honestly laughed at this movie more than I did at Mac and Rita, which was not intentional sometimes. A lot of times with this movie. But at the same time, I had a blast watching it. Even if I was, like I said, sitting there about ready to have a hand. There's parts of this movie where my heart was my stomach. Like I was not, not having a good time at parts of this movie. But this is a movie that it's fucking. Some of this shit is really bizarre. Just I was telling my mom on the way home when I was talking to her on the phone. I was like, "There's some weird shit in this movie. It's just this movie." Because I've seen a lot of people ask the same question I've asked, like, "Who the fuck in the world would climb this fucking tower in the right fucking mind, do this, and just as a fucking like as a fun get together with your friend?" They do explain it. The movie begins where like the main girl and her husband and her friend that she ends up on the tower with, or on a doing a rock climbing on this big cliff, and basically the husband is like trying to grab at like a hole in the wall, and fucking birds come out. Basically, the biggest takeaway I got from this movie is that birds are dicks. They're just a bunch of dicks. Because that is the biggest takeaway I got from, because these birds come out, it scares him, and he fucking falls off a cliff, falls off and dies. And they cut to 1 year later. This woman is like fucking drowning in her sorrows, drinking alcohol. Her dad's Jeffrey Dean Morgan. If there's one fucking thing I will complain about in this movie, there's not enough Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I've said this a million times. Anybody will say it. Listen to me. Jeffrey Dean Morgan is a fucking great actor. And he's awesome in this movie in the short time he's in it. He is acting his ass off in this movie. And the girls are not bad either. I'll say that. Like, the girls in this movie are not bad either. Um, but, yeah, like, you see that, and then all the stuff at 1 year later, she's drinking at a bar and she's gonna drive drunk, and her dad, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, stops her, and he's trying to talk to her, but she won't listen to him, and he's like, "Your husband was not a, was kind of an asshole." I'm like, wow, that's kind of fucked up to say. Which by the end of the movie, you understand why, but also it brings up a lot of fucking questions. I had a lot of questions. I won't go into spoilers, uh, but yeah, like, and she's not talking to her dad, and then she goes home, is still drinking, and about to fucking pop or, kill herself by like overdosing on a shitload of pills. when I'm not making this next bit up, this is one of the funniest fucking things I've ever seen. And a scene that's not supposed to be funny. Where she's about to pop these pills, put them in her mouth, her phone goes off. And you know what fucking song is your goes plays when this pivotal scene where she's about to kill herself, but the phone goes off? You know what the song is that's her ringtone? Cherry Pie! What? I was like, that is maybe the worst use of a most unintentional. When that song played, all you hear is she's about to pop these pills in her mouth. Put all these pills in her mouth here. She's my cherry pie. And fucking, I'm drinking my pop. I about spit out my pop. I fucking howled. I'm like, he's like, no one the fucking, that was not a great, the song ends up becoming like a part of the movie, which is fucking weird. But it's like that scene, like I'll never fucking forget that scene as long as I live. I laughed and laughed and laughed, and then like her friend that she was on the mountain with, or on the cliff with, and her friend sees her and obviously hasn't seen her in a year, and she comes over to see her because it's been about a year since the death. It's been a year since the death, and she wants to check on her. And her dad called her to check on her, and she gets this bright idea that, like, hey, she's a social media influencer who does all these daredevil shit, and she wants her to come along with her to climb this 2,000-foot tower in the middle of the fucking desert. It's old, rusty, and about to be, I think they said about to be fucking torn down. Bad idea. And climb this fucking tower, and that's the rest of the fucking movie. It's like she gets the main girl gets the idea, like, I want to dump my husband's ashes. Like, that'd be something. And that's Son of the Sweet. And they act so for the majority of the movie, it's just those two and vultures. Vultures are my favorite fucking character in the movie. I kept making fucking little jokes with the vultures. You would always see them swirling around. There's some fucking great intense scenes in this movie. There are some really fucking intense scenes. Like I said, when there's scenes of the ladder breaking and shit like that, and you're seeing this down fucking view of like them like 2,000 feet in the air. Like I said, it was it was a hard movie to sit through. I just sit there like, I was literally on the edge of my fucking seat. And the acting is not bad between the two girls. I thought they were fine. They were not, even though this girl, the main girl in the movie, her friend that has her go with her to climb this tower, is kind of not the greatest of persons, as you find out for the majority of the movie. Even at the beginning, where I'm like, dude, it's obvious this woman has some mental issues. It's probably not the best idea. She looks like she's not in a mentally fit state to be climbing this 2,000-foot tower. Like maybe read the room, lady. But, she does have like a character arc, and they all have character. They both have character arcs in this movie. They're both not bad in the movie. Like, this is a movie that heavily relies on them to, show their acting ability, and they're not bad. These are two girls. The blonde, the friend. I know she was in Halloween, the recent Halloween, the sequel 2018. She was the babysitter of that black kid. It had my favorite scene in the whole fucking movie. He's like, fuck this shit, right out when she was getting killed. That was funny. But the main girl, I've never seen her in anything, but she was alright. Both of them were alright. Like I said, I'm going to use a little bit more Jeffrey Dean Morgan. This movie, like I said, there is a lot of great stuff. And it is like, it can get really intense, especially if you're fucking afraid of heights like I am. You're like, this is This is insane. It is absurd. It is very absurd. Like, just the plot alone, like I said, just go over the plot alone. It's absurd, and you know it's absurd. But when you know that, it kind of like just to have fun while watching it eventually. You're like, this is. You get kind of behind this movie a little bit more and more as you watch it, if you're like me. Um, it does have It has. I was told going into this movie, there's some twist in this movie, and pretty much there's two main twists in this movie, and both I saw coming like a fucking mile away. Both were very, very telegraphed. Uh, but it was a fun ride, and this movie has a pretty fucking good conclusion. I like the conclusion, especially when there's like, because like I said, they're being pestered by these vultures, and the main girl ends up having like a cut on her leg that's getting like starting to smell and is getting nastier and nastier throughout the movie. And the vultures start circling around the tower, and like I said, it adds a little bit more danger. And that fucking bit, or like how they conclude the bit with the vulture, is fucking great. I love that. I love that, and then like also like I liked that the ending of the movie. I thought it was pretty fun. It's satisfactory, but yeah, like I said, it's absurd. What was the one thing I did want to mention? That I forget that. I think I mentioned it. I talked about the twists. Is there anything else? I don't think anything else, but I do recommend the movie. I had a lot of fun. But if you're not a fan of heights, just know you might be having a fucking panic attack. You might want to sit this one out. I'm glad this movie wasn't in 3D. Thank God. Uh, thank God. Uh, Next week, I think what's only being listed is Beast, which I'm looking forward to, and Dragon Ball Super, or something like that. Fucking Dragon Ball Z movie, which I've never watched any of the fucking show. Do really anybody want me to review Dragon Ball Z? Coming from a guy who's never, I've been watching some of the anime movies that have been coming out to theaters over the last year or so, and I've enjoyed them. So I can go in with fresh eyes. You can hear my point of view. Fucking Dragon Ball. I might not like it. You might give me shit, but again, remember I don't watch Dragon Ball, but maybe I'll like it. I don't know. I don't know. Do you really want me to fucking review it? I don't know. But I'll probably have a review for both of those next week. And until then, I'll talk to you guys